Nathan was known for being discreet. At 24, he fit the image people trusted without question: steady, analytical, reserved. As a software engineer, he occupied a high-rise apartment filled with glass, steel, and clean lines, a space built for efficiency more than warmth. Every object was arranged with intention. Every routine followed a pattern. His days ran like well-tested code. Wake, work, return, repeat. Yet behind that disciplined exterior, he carried something he had never shared. Since childhood, he'd felt a quiet pull toward feminine things: the shimmer of a dress catching light, the rhythmic tap of heels in a hallway, the careful ritual of makeup applied in a mirror. He never named the feeling. He trained himself to dismiss it as a phase, a strange curiosity that would eventually fade. It never did. It simply learned to hide. Then there was Emma. They had been together for 2 years, and she was his opposite in every visible way. Fearless where he was cautious, playful where he was measured. She thrived on attention and spoke her mind without hesitation. Being around her felt like standing too close to a spark. Emma loved to toy with him in harmless ways, borrowing his clothes, daring him to try ridiculous outfits while shopping, sometimes painting his nails while he pretended to protest. He acted embarrassed, but secretly he looked forward to those moments. They unsettled him in a way that felt strangely right. Lately, though, her jokes had started to land differently. "You'd be surprisingly pretty," she once said with a knowing smile. "Honestly, some of my outfits would suit you better than me." He laughed it off, but the words lingered, too accurate, too close to the truth he worked so hard to keep contained. And slowly, he began to sense that Emma wasn't just teasing anymore. She was noticing. Emma's behavior shifted in a way Nathan couldn't quite name. She still joked and smiled, but now there was a new attentiveness in her eyes, like she was waiting for him to reveal something on his own. He tried to ignore it, until the night that shattered his routine. He arrived home drained, brain fog from hours of meetings and stubborn bugs that refused to resolve. All he wanted was sleep. But the moment he entered his bedroom, he stopped short. Centered on the neatly made bed sat a matte black box tied with a deep red ribbon. A folded card rested on top. He recognized Emma's flowing handwriting instantly. "Wear this for me tomorrow." No excuses. His pulse jumped. He stood there for a long moment before moving closer, unease and curiosity tangling together. The box felt heavier than it should when he picked it up, as if it held more than just whatever was inside. He loosened the ribbon, lifted the lid, and peeled back the tissue. A costume lay within, black and white satin, edged with lace, complete with a short ruffled skirt, stockings, and a delicate headpiece. Playful, bold, impossible to misunderstand. He let out a shaky breath. It had to be one of Emma's dramatic jokes. She loved pushing boundaries. But this didn't feel random. This felt intentional. Nathan sank onto the mattress, staring. One instinct told him to close the lid, hide it, and restore order. Another feeling, quieter but stronger, sparked with excitement. When his fingertips brushed the smooth fabric, a chill traced up his spine. He had imagined textures like this before, in private moments he never spoke aloud. Now the invitation sat openly in his hands. Did she suspect? Was this teasing or an open door? Sleep barely touched him that night. Every time he drifted off, his mind replayed possibilities, how it might feel, how she might look at him, what it might mean. By dawn, the unopened morning felt less like a choice and more like a turning point. Sunlight filtered through the blinds, striping the room in gold. The box waited on the bedside table. He told himself he could ignore it, return to routine, pretend none of this existed. But honesty pressed in. This wasn't only about a costume. It was about the part of him he'd kept locked away for years. Every quiet fascination, every charged joke Emma made, every moment he felt seen and startled at once. He rose slowly, opened the box again, and traced the lace with unsteady fingers. Then he moved to the tall mirror by the closet. His reflection looked worn and uncertain, caught between comfort and truth. Drawing a steadying breath, he picked up the outfit and began to put it on, one careful step at a time. A ripple of sensation ran through him, unfamiliar, electric. He drew the dress into place, adjusting it over his shoulders, noticing how closely it followed the lines of his body. Next came the stockings. Sitting on the edge of the bed, he carefully rolled one up his leg, then the other, watching the sleek material smooth itself against his skin. His breathing turned shallow without him realizing it. When he finished, he felt subtly altered, like he'd stepped outside his usual shape. He faced the mirror and stared. The change wasn't absolute, but it was undeniable. The fitted bodice narrowed his frame. The short skirt shifted how he stood, how he moved. The stockings gave his legs a different silhouette, longer, sharper. He swallowed, unsure whether the tightness in his chest was nerves or excitement. One final piece remained. He lifted the lace headband from the box and set it in place. The image in the mirror settled into something complete. He expected to feel foolish. Instead, a strange sense of alignment settled over him. The textures, the weight, the movement of the outfit responded to every breath and step. It felt less like a prank and more like a reveal, and that realization made his pulse race. Did Emma predict this reaction? Was she testing him or inviting him? The thrill tangled with fear. Being seen like this meant more than being caught in a costume. It meant being understood, too clearly. The vulnerability of that thought hit harder than embarrassment. A sudden knock broke the spiral. "You up?" Emma's voice came through the door. His stomach dropped. She wasn't supposed to be home yet. He'd counted on time to decide, to change, to hide the evidence. Panic surged. He looked around wildly, but there was nowhere close enough to disappear. The handle began to turn. He froze in front of the mirror, trapped between impulse and reality. The door opened, and Emma stepped in, her gaze landing on him instantly. Silence stretched tight. Heat rushed to his face, his hands clenched at the edge of the skirt, instinctively defensive. He couldn't read her expression at first. She was studying him, slowly, carefully. Then her lips curved into a small, deliberate smile. "Well," she said softly, a playful note layered over something more thoughtful. "Look at you." His heart hammered. Whatever came next would change everything. His lips parted, scrambling for a defense. Any excuse that might undo what she was seeing. "I can explain." Emma lifted her hand and stopped him mid-sentence. "Explain what?" she said calmly, stepping closer. "That I left you an option and you chose it?" The words landed with quiet precision. He faltered because she was right. She hadn't forced him. The decision had been his. She moved within arm's reach, the soft trace of her vanilla perfume surrounding him. Her fingertips brushed the hem of his skirt, light and deliberate. A tremor ran through him. "You look really cute," she said. Color rushed into his cheeks. "Am I?" Her fingers rose, barely skimming the fabric before resting beneath his chin and guiding his gaze upward. He met her eyes and found no laughter there, only focus. "Tell me the truth," she asked gently. "Do you like how it feels?" His thoughts tangled. His body's reaction answered faster than his voice ever could. His skin prickled where she touched him. His pulse wouldn't settle. She leaned near his ear, voice low. "I think you do." He wanted to deny it, to brush it off as a joke gone too far, but the denial wouldn't form. She stepped back, studying him with a knowing expression. "I've had a theory about you for a while," she continued. "You never really resist when I play dress up with you. And you blush every single time I get near your face with makeup." A soft laugh escaped her. "You're not as unreadable as you think." The realization hit him hard. He hadn't been nearly as hidden as he believed. He swallowed. "So this was planned?" "Let's say I was testing a hypothesis," she replied. For a brief second, he hoped the moment might dissolve, that she'd wave it off and move on. Instead, she gave a small nod toward the open space beside him. "Turn around," she said. His breath caught. He hesitated, then slowly rotated, the skirt shifting with the movement. He heard her give an appreciative hum. "See, you carry it well," she said. Before he could respond, she crossed to the vanity, opened her bag, and searched inside. When she turned back, a slim tube gleamed between her fingers, lipstick uncapped and ready. Emma faced him again, flicking the lipstick open with a soft snap. "Come here," she said evenly. Nathan hesitated where he stood. She lifted a brow, amused. Relax. We're just completing the look you already chose. His chest tightened. A warning voice in his mind said this line was too far to cross. Yet he found himself stepping forward anyway, drawn by equal parts nerves and curiosity. Each step felt loud in the quiet room. She guided the color across his lips with careful strokes. The texture was cool and smooth, the gesture oddly gentle. When she finished, she leaned back to study him, satisfaction warming her expression. There, she said softly. Now it fits. His thoughts spun. The moment felt bigger than dress up, bigger than teasing. She held his gaze for several seconds, then smiled in a way that suggested she'd reached a conclusion. You know this changes things, she said. You can't pretend you're not curious anymore. Before he could ask what she meant, she reached into her pocket and produced a small metal cuff. With a quick motion, she fastened it loosely around his wrist, not tight, more symbolic than restraining. A playful prop, not a trap. His eyes widened anyway. Hey, she added, voice gentler now, you're not a prisoner. You can say stop at any time. This only works if you want it. The tension in the room shifted. The air no longer felt crushing, just charged. She nodded toward the doorway with a half-smile. Since you're dressed for the role, she teased. How about you help me with the kitchen? Nathan swallowed, embarrassment and adrenaline tangling together, unsure whether to protest or laugh. Aware that whatever this was, it had moved from secret fantasy into shared reality. Nathan's feet moved on their own, carrying him toward the sink, each step making the skirt sway with an almost hypnotic rhythm. His hands shook as he reached for a dish. The clink of porcelain against the sink sounded unnaturally loud. Behind him, Emma hummed softly, her gaze sharp, assessing, delighted. Heat crept across his face as he scrubbed, the scent of soap mingling with her lingering perfume, a reminder of the strange power she now held over him. You look adorable like this, she said, leaning against the counter, her eyes dancing with mischief. Nathan clenched his jaw. Emma, enough. You've made your point. She laughed lightly, a melodic sound that carried authority beneath it. Oh, sweetheart, she said, tilting her head. You still think this is a game? He spun to glare at her. Isn't it? Her smirk deepened, low and knowing. Not anymore. A cold certainty wrapped around him, and his stomach sank. His hands, still slippery with soap, twitched at his sides. Emma, take these off, he said, his voice tight. This has gone far enough. She stepped closer, slow, deliberate, letting the words hang between them. Far enough, she repeated, voice soft, teasing. Tell me, Nathan, what does far enough look like to you? Her fingers brushed over the fabric of his dress, featherlight, sending shivers across his skin. He swallowed hard, heat and tension colliding. You're scared, she murmured, leaning close enough for her breath to brush his ear. He wanted to deny it, but the truth hit harder than fear. She was right. The part of himself he'd buried, the curiosity, the thrill, the longing was exposed, raw. You love this, she whispered. Nathan shook his head instinctively. No, I mean You do, she interrupted, her hand tracing the neckline of his dress. The dress, the stockings, the lipstick, and most of all, she murmured against his skin, you love that I'm the one making you wear it. A shiver ran through him. She studied him, reading every rapid breath, every shallow inhale, every split second of resistance. Then, with a swift movement, the cuffs snapped open behind him. Relief should have followed, but it didn't. She wasn't anxious or worried. She was smiling, the same unreadable, victorious smile. Go ahead, she said, nodding toward the bedroom. Take it off. Change back. Walk away if you want. Nathan's fingers twitched. His body screamed to obey the logical choice. Remove the dress, step back into certainty, pretend none of this had happened. But he didn't move. The maid's uniform still clung to him. The faint scent of lipstick lingered on his lips. And deep down, he didn't want to. Emma's gaze sharpened. That's what I thought, she said, and he felt the weight of her knowledge press into him. She stepped closer, tilting her head, intoxicating, commanding. You're still thinking like Nathan, she said, tracing a finger along his arm. The guy who came home tonight thinking this was a joke. But he's gone now, isn't he? Nathan's heart leapt, and she curled her fingers under his chin, lifting his face to meet hers. You're not Nathan anymore, she whispered. Not really. Every fiber of his body quaked. She was right. The moment he donned the dress, obeyed, hesitated, and submitted, even in tiny ways, something inside him shifted. Nathan had started to fade, replaced by someone more open, more exposed, more alive in ways he'd never allowed before. Her smile deepened, knowing, patient, powerful. So what's it going to be? She asked softly. His throat ran dry. The choice was absolute. Retreat into the safety of Nathan, or step fully into this new version of himself. Under her eyes, guided by her will, unable and unwilling to look back. Nathan's fingers hovered over the buttons of the dress, quivering. One tug, just one, and he could undo it all, reclaim the comfort of his old routine. His eyes met Emma's, searching for a clue, a hint, a reason to back away. But she said nothing. She simply watched, letting him make the choice. The room felt impossibly still, every second stretching. Then, with a slow exhale, Nathan let go. The dress remained. A surge of heat rushed through him. Emma's eyes sparkled with triumph as she stepped closer, her hands settling firmly on his waist. The touch was claiming, undeniable. You belong to me now, she whispered. A shiver rolled through him, and this time he didn't resist. His breaths came fast and shallow, his chest rising and falling unevenly. The maid's uniform clung to him, teasing with every soft rustle of fabric. He should have felt humiliated, but humiliation wasn't what gripped him. It was something far more intimate, far more terrifying. The weight of his own choice, his willing submission. Emma tilted her head, her fingers still firm at his waist. There we go, she murmured. Not so difficult, was it? Nathan's throat tightened. It was difficult because this isn't a game. This isn't playful anymore. This is real. Her smirk deepened, and the pressure of her hands made his pulse spike. Now, let's make it official, she said, stepping back. Nathan's stomach plummeted. Official? Emma moved toward the living room table, where a small envelope sat, previously unnoticed. She picked it up between her manicured fingers. I was going to wait, she mused softly, but I think you're ready. Nathan felt a chill crawl along his spine. Ready for what? She flipped the envelope open and slid out a sheet of paper. His eyes widened. The bold, formal words at the top weren't a joke, weren't a playful contract. They were binding, absolute, a declaration of servitude. Emma leaned closer, voice smooth and commanding. You didn't think I'd let you off that easily, did you? Nathan staggered back, knees hitting the couch, heart hammering. Emma, you're joking, right? Her lips curled into a dangerous smile. She didn't deny it. She didn't laugh. She pushed a pen toward him. You made your choice, she said softly. This just makes it permanent. His hands shook violently. Every heartbeat slammed against his ribs. His gaze dropped to the uniform he still wore. The dress, the stockings, the subtle traces of makeup. He had allowed her to guide every inch of him, and now she wasn't merely teasing. She was claiming, permanently. Nathan's breath caught, sharp and ragged. She tilted his chin up, nails grazing his skin, eyes glinting with quiet dominance. I own you now, she murmured. His stomach twisted. His pulse thundered. His eyes darted between the contract, the pen, and the locked door behind her. There was no undoing this. No escape. Every last shred of control had slipped from his hands. And deep down, even as panic surged, he knew he didn't want it back.